Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another video in the Derbyshire Churches series. This is the magnificent colliery village church of St. Peter's, Stonebroom. Stonebroom is one of a number of villages that really springs up on the Derbyshire coalfields in the 19th century. And in 1892, a timber framed, what's called a tin tabernacle, so it's a timber frame clad in corrugated iron, is built, and that's the first church. It's not built on this site, but somewhere else, I believe, in the village. But of course, the stone church, the tin church as it's called rather, is temporary. It is to be replaced by a permanent building of brick and stone, and that is what St. Peter's is. St. Peter's is opened in 1900, so it is just over 120 years old. And it's a lovely example of a working church for working people. This isn't a building that is built by some squire to show off his wealth. This is a building that is built for the coal miners and their families and the people who then serve the coal mining community to worship on the Lord's Day. A lot of these churches are built by very earnest, very determinedly Anglo-Catholic people. This building, I think, is no exception, but it's a very good example of an ordinary church for ordinary folk from about 1900. The colliery, of course, has long since gone. The coalfield has closed down. St. Peter's is still at the centre of the community, and it's still very much a working church, a church that is open for people in the day, and a church where there are services on Sunday, and there are other things associated with it. So we'll have a look around and explore this building. I do love it. I mean, just look at it. Look at this. There's fairly low ceiling here in the... actually, it's not that low. It's fairly low. But you've got these big roof lights that let in most of the light. It's quite a clever building in many ways. The interior is brick, the outside is covered in stone, local stone, but this is really a brick building with a stone skin. And it shows something of the pride these colliery communities had in their community spirit, building this sort of church that's not, it's not something that is shoddy, it's something that is good quality, well made, well built. So I'll have a look around and I'll point out some of the salient features. So as usual, we start at the west end. This is where, well, the entrance is in the normal location, on the south side at the west of the south wall. And it doesn't have an external porch, so you've got this nice boxed-in internal porch, again for the usual reason of keeping the hot air in and the cold air out. It's to do, obviously, with it gets quite cold up here in the winter. It's quite cold here. I mean, this is early March when I'm filming this, and it's quite cold today, even in this glorious sunshine. And of course, once the sun sets, then it gets very, very cold. We have a nice polished font here, nice polished granite. It's marble, nice marble font. Someone has gifted this. At the back we have here a little memorial to the miner's lamp, miner's helmet, and a model of a pit wheel. And in 1875, Stonebroom was a hamlet with only 2 farms until the coal mine was sunk in Morton. When the families came to work from Warwickshire, Staffordshire, and all around the district. Morton is the old parish this is part of. So here we have very much a village that just comes into being in the 1870s and is then 1890s the church is built, and you can see this lovely local brick, lovely roof. I mean, magnificent roof, nice open timber roof. Pews, obviously all the original pews here. It's an interesting table. It doesn't make me think, is this the old communion table from Morton Church, which was rebuilt in the latter part of the 19th century? That isn't open, so no tour of Morton Church. Never mind. We've got the church warden's wands and a nice centre aisle here. Just perambulate up, but you've got the mixture of twin or the alternating twin and triple lancets here. Pulpit would have been a reading desk, but it doesn't appear to be one there anymore. The list of incumbents, that's what's interesting, list of incumbents. This obviously here it's it tells us that 1883 is the first incumbent, so you've initially got someone who's a missioner who doesn't have a church, and then it's Edward Peabody in 1892 when the iron church is built, and then it's William Round who is the incumbent when this church is built. So it gives a good idea of something of the history with that. And again, these nice windows. The brickwork here is really good. There's an elevated chancel, and you've got something that's quite common in this sort of era, which is a low open iron screen. And what that means is you have this distinction between the nave and the chancel, but it's not a distinction that means that people can't see what's going on in the chancel. And yet there's every evidence there must have been a reading desk or something on the other side. Certainly there was a reading desk here and there isn't anymore. So there would have been a reading desk there originally, and there's organ, great big organ there, and there's wooden pipes. Here we have the war memorial, just the two men, Geoffrey Sidebottom, Parker Stamper, second lieutenant, 1st Sherwood Foresters, killed in action, France, March 24th, 1918, aged 29 years, buried at St. Crest on the Somme. Also Eric William Parker Stamper, CQMS. Again, 5th Sherwood Foresters, died at Stonebroom Vicarage, November the 7th, 1918, aged 27 years. So he would have been invalided home. Obviously these are the two sons of the vicar, and the one is killed in action, the other is invalided home and dies of his wounds. Modern lectern. The chancel is quite open. There are no choir stalls. I suspect they would have originally been choir stalls, but they have been removed. We've got a little evidence of Anglo-Catholicism going on there. And we often note in medieval churches the sedilia and piscina. Well, there's no piscina here, but there's a definite sedilia lined with wood, and you've got this little bullseye window, these round windows, and then the triple lancet at the east end. And originally, I suspect, well, there's every evidence, originally it would have been Anglo-Catholic style. The altar, and it would have been an altar, would have been up against the wall, but it's been moved forward, and things have changed in the way they do things. It often happens, and we've got a modern electric organ here rather than the old pipe organ. And then we look all the way west, and we've got the sun streaming through the west window and reflecting off the lovely polished tiled floor. And you can picture it. The colliers and their families here on Sunday, here to worship, and a building that reflects something of their community spirit. So that's the inside really here at Stonebroom, and one does admire this sort of building. When I was a boy, we went to a church of similar date, but a very, very different church from this, in that it was quite a smart church in a smart part of town, whereas this is it's a very splendid building, but it's a building that's designed as a working church for working people. Put it that way, and that's a good thing. Here we have pictures of some of the old ministers. There's 1895 Reverend R.H.S. Curry with a wonderful beard. 1915 W. Parker Stamper. He's the man, of course, he's lost his sons in the war. So the symbolic cross. Got a lot of obviously a very active church. They've got a sign on the door. They obviously do support work in Ukraine already, and I'm recording this during the third week now, or the second week now of the Ukraine war, of the Russo-Ukrainian war, as we're going to call it, of 2022. So we do pray that, oh Lord, bring peace again, bring peace again. The pulpit again with its candlesticks, because when originally built, of course, wouldn't have had electricity up here at that point in 1900, so it would have been oil, gas, and probably, but electricity would have been installed fairly quickly in 1900. Now, when we go outside, we'll see something of the tower. But before we do that, I want to show you inside. There is a picture here of what the tower was supposed to look like. So that was the plan, a tower with a bracketed clock on the outside. Very splendid. We shall see what they actually ended up with. So there we are, inside here at Stonebroom, this magnificent church. I do love this building. I think just the light, the materials. So let's have a look outside. So here we are outside at St Peter's Stonebroom. It's not the easiest building to film the outside of, because it's right on a fairly busy village street. So we're on the north side here. You can see the roof lights there, very important, very helpful. And as we go around, we'll see the tower, and we'll probably end up back here again, or perhaps by the porch, by the door, for the closing remarks. So let's have a look around. St Peter's is, as we saw inside, a good example of this sort of 1900 bit of arts and crafts, a bit of that sort of thing going on here. We've got brick and stone. You can see the brick on the windows and the roof lights, and the little vestry sticking out here on the north side. And it's the normal place for a vestry on the north side of the chancel. A little bit of a car park, obviously used in the when they have services on here, and it's a continuous roof line. Although the chancel, as we saw inside, has a definite distinction to it. The windows have a bit of brick on the surround, and why not? This is indeed the 20th century when it was built. It's not medieval. Now here we have, you can see you've got your room underneath. It's quite common. And here we have to the glory of God, this stone was laid by Florence, widow of the late John Jackson of Stubborn Edge, July the 7th, 1900. So that's the foundation stone. And here's the tower. The tower's supposed to be, well, the tower is offset here. Just watch out for the sunlight. Unfortunately, they never quite had the money to finish it. It's a very common problem, and one of the reasons it's offset like this is that it meant they could, well, we build it up to this point, and when we get the money, if we get the money, we'll finish it off, and they never did, because that's how it works. So there we have it, the chancel, little tower, and the clock on the tower, and the war memorial, of course, very important. And you just see how many young men went off to the war in 1914-18 and never came back, and just 6, 1939 to 45. Because one of the reasons for that is going to be that this is a mining village, and the coal mines are important. These are vital resources. You also see the number of people with the same surname, young men, brothers, going off to war and never came back. And here we go up along the side of the nave, along the south side. You can see this beautiful building, lovely brickwork, stonework, and the stone, as we saw on the inside, is just really a sort of decorative applique on the outside. It's not actually a stone church at all. And there we are, looking back at that tower. There's a little bell in the top, I expect, but supposed to be nice, much taller. But there we are. Things happened. Things like the First World War happened, and that's what pretty much put the mockers on a lot of these building projects. So there we are. That's St Peter's Stonebroom, marvellous building, and a great testimony to the old mining community here. So there we have it, St Peter's Stonebroom, a marvellous building, as I say, great example of 1900 the sort of churches that were built in these colliery communities. Excuse the traffic noise, we are just on the main road of the village. So, there's a car. So, well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until the next time.